Yesterday, the 7th of November 2025, being a Friday, President Uhuru Kenyatta said something that lit the political scene. And that's going to be the subject of our conversation today. Uhuru Kenyatta, while talking to delegates from Murang'a County, cautioned, in fact warned, those in the party who are overzealous and who are quick to throw harsh words at others. He singled out Rigathi Gachagua as among the people who is receiving attacks and warned the Secretary General, Kioni, and others not to make it their business to attack people. And he mentioned Gachagua. In fact, Uhuru Kenyatta went beyond that. He warned them. And this brings me to the next thing he said, that before he hands over the party, he could throw them out, first indicating that Uhuru Kenyatta is about to hand over the party to Fred Matiang'i. More importantly, that Fred Matiang'i will be presented by Jubilee as a possible presidential candidate within the United Opposition. This is significant. First, on his own, whether under Jubilee or not, Matiang'i had more or less been locked out of the United Opposition. So with Uhuru pushing for it now, he can be reinstated if you wish. He can now sit on the table with the other opposition leaders, Wamalwa, Kalonzo, Gachagua, and the rest, and decide who is going to lead them. Secondly, this gives Matiang'i the strength he requires, because without Mount Kenya, somebody like Matiang'i or Kalonzo will be dead on arrival. They stand absolutely no chance. So if Uhuru Kenyatta is going to push for Matiang'i on the mountain, then Matiang'i has a chance. But that's not the subject of our conversation this morning. This morning we are looking at the implication of that. The implications of Uhuru Kenyatta saying that those in Jubilee should sell their policies, sell their programs to the people of Kenya without insulting anybody, and singling out Rigathi Gachagua. There are two ways of looking at this. One is the ordinary surface level analysis or observation, which everybody is doing. The second one is the deeper understanding that may have far-reaching implications for 2027 and beyond, especially beyond. So let's look at this. Before I look at each of these two, allow me to thank you if you are a member of this family, you having subscribed. Please continue watching our videos, liking them, and sharing them. For those who have not subscribed to this channel, please do so to grow this family. And for any of you who has products they want to sell, to reach out to customers in these hard times, unless you advertise yourself, chances of you doing well are difficult. If you have property you want to sell or services, we can help you. Assuming you have a house, you don't want to go through brokers, just call us. We walk there, we do a video, and we share with our family. And this is a large family of serious people. The first way of looking at the Uhuru utterances is what is common. That for William Ruto, the die is cast. Why? People are saying, if you have Kalonzo Musyoka being supported by Rigathi Gachagua in combination with Uhuru Kenyatta, the mountain is sealed for Kalonzo. And therefore, Ruto has no chance. They developed that further by saying, in order not to leave the Luhya vote open to Ruto, European Eugene Wamalwa or Natembeya as running mate to Kalonzo. The deal is sealed. And for Ruto is to pack and go home. They make it even sweeter for Kalonzo by saying, you have Kalonzo on top of the ticket, running mate position to a Luhya, and Matiang'i is part of the picture, comes in as the prime minister, designate, or prime cabinet, something like we have Mudavadi doing. The deal is sealed. Toshagari. And indeed, if you have an arrangement where Uhuru and Rigathi Gachagua are supporting Gachagua in unison, and they have a running mate from Western, and Matiang'i is part of the deal as prime cabinet something, or prime minister, there's no election in 2027. And for Ruto, it's just to go home. That's what people are saying. It makes perfect sense. And that the Mount Kenya people will be content with one of their own, Kalonzo Musyoka, the heir in Gema, being on top of the ticket, and therefore may demand nothing. Or there are those who say there are still many prime positions, Senate Speaker, National Assembly Speaker, and so on and so forth. And this may be given to the people of Mount Kenya. Or even that one of the people from Mount Kenya, Martha Karua or even Rigathi Gachagua, can be prime cabinet something. And Matiang'i, being promised leadership of the future, should be content with the Interior Ministry. And this arrangement, if that is the arrangement, it works perfect. And there's no way, nothing under the sun that Ruto can do that could salvage him. Nothing under the sun. It locks Mount Kenya, locks Western, locks Ukambani, locks Kisii, my friend. Where are the other votes going to come from? And remember, for those of us who keep talking about rigging, rigging is only possible where there is a narrow difference between the victor and the loser. But where there is a landslide, as in 2002, where Kibaki got 60-something%, nobody can rig such an election. But whenever there are narrow differences, 2007, 2013, 2017, 2022, it's always easy for somebody to tilt the election in somebody's favor. But with Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua supporting Kalonzo, deputized by Eugene Wamalwa or Natembeya, with Matiang'i in the picture, this is a 70% victory. There's no way you can turn a 70% victory using whatever game you want to play. It's absolutely not possible. That is one way of looking at it. I want us to unpack it, to peel like you peel an onion. Peel the layers and see what is inside. You peel the bad layer, you throw it, you begin to peel the other layers and see what is inside. Because politics is quite often a game. Chess. Supposing Uhuru wants to outstage Rigathi Gachagua on the mountain and they present Matiang'i, how would he come? Would he come fighting Rigathi Gachagua? Rigathi Gachagua is so top on the mountain, has taken over the mountain so thoroughly that if Uhuru attempted to fight Gachagua, he will be bruised. He will leave that fight limping. Actually, if he doesn't take care, if he takes on Gachagua, Uhuru will leave the fight on a stretcher. And therefore, if you are Uhuru, what will you do? You will not come fighting. You will come in style. What better way than to create peace, than to disarm Gachagua? By saying, do not attack others, and singling out Gachagua, Uhuru has already disarmed Gachagua. Because there's no way Gachagua can now fight Uhuru by throwing words at Uhuru. Uhuru has disarmed Gachagua straight away. So now when Uhuru walks on the mountain with Matiang'i, there is no way Gachagua can attack Uhuru. Because he's been disarmed. That's why I'm saying this is style. If Uhuru is coming with Matiang'i, he will have to come in style. So that, because Gachagua will only manage Uhuru by fighting Uhuru, by throwing words at him, by demeaning him, by attacking him, by showing he's a traitor to the community. Now that can't happen. Gachagua cannot throw words at Uhuru when Uhuru has already said, please, let people sell their policies. He has even gone ahead and said, choose the party you want. Let the electorate decide. If they want somebody on Jubilee, they will elect somebody on Jubilee. If they want DCP, remember DCP is the dominant party on the mountain now. And there's no way Jubilee can take on DCP head on. You can see another strategy from Uhuru. Jubilee is no match for DCP. Jubilee cannot take on DCP head on. You must take on DCP indirectly. And Uhuru has set the tempo that people should be free to vie on the ticket they want. And the people will choose the person they want. They will be happy with the party they are happy with. Now that means, again, DCP cannot discredit Jubilee on the mountain. You can see the sort of style Uhuru could be using. I'm not saying that's what he's using, but I'm just reading deeper. If Uhuru is intent on dislodging Gachagua as the kingpin on the mountain, number one. If Uhuru is intent on bringing Matiang'i other than Kalonzo, number two. If Uhuru wants Jubilee Party to have members of parliament, he cannot face DCP, he cannot face Gachagua directly, because in that war, he has no chance of surviving. He will be vanquished, and therefore must come in a manner to suggest he's a peaceful person. I come in peace. We can disagree, but we are still brothers. We can hunt for votes using different parties, but we are still brothers. We can have different presidential candidates and preferences, but we are still mountaineers. We are still the mountain people. We are still one. Adwa Nyoba. That is lethal. If Gachagua watches me and listens to me or his people, you must prepare for that, because that is lethal. To counter that is not easy. It's not easy to punch a man who just surrenders. Say, okay, I agree with you. Okay, I'm sorry. It's okay, let's do it another. A man like that, you can't punch him. And yet, Gachagua's strategy works very well when he's punching. Punching. That's why Gachagua is very popular, because he's injecting the way young people want. Now Uhuru is denying him that capacity, that power to inject against Jubilee and against Uhuru Kenyatta and against Matiang'i. It is powerful. The question we must now ask as we land, what will be Uhuru's game plan? There are those who believe Uhuru has no intention of dislodging Ruto in 2027. If he comes with Matiang'i as a presidential candidate and Jubilee as a forceful party, there is no way he will be hoping he can win the election. DCP will have a majority of the seats. It won't be Jubilee. He may get some because of the approach I've just mentioned, but not a majority. The majority will be DCP. He won't get majority presidential votes from the mountain for Matiang'i, because those will go to Kalonzo Musyoka. But the damage will be there. The damage will be such that the few votes Matiang'i will get will give Kalonzo a through pass. Not Kalonzo, Ruto a through pass. Now, the game is simple. If I were Uhuru and I wanted Matiang'i, and I know 2027 is not possible, I would not mind Ruto going back. Because in 2027, we can now re-engineer the game. Either Matiang'i can now work with Ruto as they move towards 2032, or Matiang'i can be the face of the opposition, and I will explain why. He will be attacking Ruto throughout his second year term. For the 5 years that run up to the 2032 election, Matiang'i will be the face of the opposition. And they will stand the highest chance anybody would ever have at becoming the president in 2032. And as he becomes president, Uhuru's plan will be featured in that game. If he has the intention of having his son or daughter for that matter, or somebody else again, then when Matiang'i wins in 2032, either that son or daughter or that person deputizes Matiang'i immediately or does so in 2037. Game short. The rest they say is history. Why would Matiang'i be the leader of the opposition without the party, without party strength, without control of the National Assembly, without control of Senate, governors, counties? Why? Simple. If Kalonzo loses in 2027, that's the end of Kalonzo. And he will be devastated. That will be the best chance he would have had. And age is not on his side. So Kalonzo atakuwa ameenda. The next remaining person in the opposition is Rigathi Gachagua. If Uhuru manages to disrupt the mountain, if Uhuru manages to wrestle Gachagua during 2027 elections, Gachagua will be rendered useless after that. He will have no voice. He will go into oblivion. So Kalonzo is gone because age is not on his side. The disappointment is so major. He has completely gone to Sheikuru to finish his remaining days. Like all people like us, we are waiting to finish our last days. And we keep asking God for more, like Uhuru said. Gachagua, because of losing that election, and because he will have lost because of Uhuru Kenyatta, he will not find his voice again. Never. It will be Uhuru Kusema or his people. It doesn't have to be Uhuru the man. Uhuru or his people will be the one controlling the mountain. And they'll deliver the mountain to Matiang'i in 2032. That is what I see when I look at this thing deeply. I see beyond the utterances leading to support for Kalonzo. Because it is quite possible that you cannot manage the game if you are Uhuru Kenyatta. If the script is played in a manner many people are suggesting, you will not be in control. But you can control the game if you prevent Kalonzo tactfully, without saying so, from becoming president. And in the process, disorganize and disorient Gachagua so much. After Ruto wins in 2027, Gachagua will be no more. He will go into oblivion. Ataenda wa Manyora kufuga kondoo. And that, dear Kenyans, is my interpretation of what happened yesterday, 7th of November 2025.